Hey howdy everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of our Road to 1 Billion, in old school RuneScape. I'm your host, Millennium RPGs, and let's have a brief review over what went down last episode. We started last episode off by running around the non-membership area, looking for shops that we could buy low at, and then sell back to the Grand Exchange for higher. Among these stores, we found that the bronze plate legs from Alcaharid, horsies from Draenor, the black chain bodies from Falador, and the feathers from Port's Rim were among the most profitable. Now, because of episode 3, we already knew that the feathers were profitable, but by coming across the horsies in Draenor, I decided to go ahead and try my luck there, so I bought about 150 of them. They were purchased for 150 gold each, and then I sold them to the Grand Exchange for 250 each. I didn't really take it any further than that because I trusted the demand for feathers over the demand for horsies, so we went ahead and moved on to some alternative money-making schemes. We tried lobsters for a few minutes and realized that their catch rate is way too low and they're not valuable enough, so we moved beyond that. We headed over to the hobgoblins inside of the sewers of, I think they're sewers, but anyways, the dungeon in Edgeville, and found out that they were way too high of a level for me to be doing combat with. So we moved on to hill giants, where we found their drop rate of Limport roots is not nearly high enough to be able to profit off of them. So we just ended up farming them for some prayer experience and some ranged and constitution levels. After that distraction, we headed back up to the surface of Edgeville and went back to the fight club to clock how much profit we could make per hour from slaying men for their bones. Didn't make a whole lot off of that, but at the same time that we were in there, our feathers had finally sold in the Grand Exchange, which brought our total bank value to over 1 million, which just so happened to be my overarching goal for the episode. After reaching this goal, I just went ahead and finished up the hour that we were doing over at the Fight Club and came back to show that my cash stack had come up to an official 1 million gold cash stack, and we summed up the video soon after that. During this summation, I had discussed that we'd soon be leaving non-membership in favor of joining membership, and I believe this episode will be our official last episode in non-membership. Now, I know what you're thinking. Last episode we just got into 1 million cash. How are we going to have membership this episode when that costs at least 5 times that? Or on average 5 times that. I'll show you what I did off camera. Keep in mind while I'm showing you this that I did discuss at the end of last episode that I had about 16 hours of off-camera work to do. And yeah, we'll see what that turned into. So we started off with a light 450,000. Then I really dove in with posting another 500,000 and selling another 500,000. And by this point, we'd already doubled our bank value. So naturally, we sold another 500,000. At this point, I started feeling lazy, so I sold 500,000 and only posted 275,000. Those sold, so I went ahead and posted another 225,000 to make it a flat 500,000. And here's my last 500,000 sold. It got snipped very weird. Now then, for anybody wondering, we ended up selling 50k short of 3 million feathers. Now, as each 500,000 feathers cost about 2 hours of off-camera work, you could pretty much surmise that I've put in about 12 hours of off-camera work thus far. And if anybody's curious as to how much money that is thus far, that is about 3 million in profit, because 1 gold per feather. We had 1 million inside the bank, so we should be about 4 million in the bank, right? Well, let's go ahead and check the bank, and you'll see why we should be ready for membership by the end of the episode. And here we are at the bank. Let's go ahead and check the bank value. 2 million. That's about 2 million short of what I had said we should have inside the bank. Well, let's check the Grand Exchange real fast. You'll see why this is so low. And there you have it. The missing 2 million has been put into another 1 million feathers off camera. So that's another 4 hours, 16 hours of off camera work, and this should bring us up to the 5 million cash stack. And these have already almost finished selling, so we should have these sold by the end of the episode. Now, while we're waiting for these feathers to sell, we do have some loose ends to tie up before moving into membership. Among those things, we're going to start on some quests. Now, for these quests, we'll be doing the majority of these quests. We'll be leaving out Dragon Slayer and the Shield of Arav because they're long-winded. Shield of Arav also requires multiple people to complete. The Dragon Slayer, it's had a difficulty buff from what I can recall, as well as it's a 2 to 3 hour long quest, and I just don't have the time in the day to complete that before going into membership. I think we'll be starting off the day with the X marks the spot quest. I'll catch y'all when I'm completing it, and we'll move on from there. Completed X marks the spot. I'm a non-member with a lamp, so I'm going to dump it into mining and move on. Otherwise, I'd be putting it to agility or something. Time mystery complete. I'll go ahead and move on to the next quest. And that's Witch's Potion complete as well. Hey, 10 magic. Didn't even have to try. So I'm just updating my inventory for the next quest I'll be doing. I'm going to double check on bonds because I just looked at it and they are just cheap. So I'm going to pull out the money that I have from these feathers. They're not all done selling, but at this point, anything else that I have left in the value of those feathers will just be profit on top of having membership. So I'm going to go ahead and try to buy this bond. And if it comes through, then I've saved roughly 400,000 gold. Now, they may very well not be selling for this cheap anymore. It could have been a fluke that one person sold it for cheaper than everybody else, but I'm going to give it a shot, and hopefully it buys. Now, let's get back to the quests. Actually, before I head out, I'm going to go ahead and pump this up another 50 grand. This way, in case anybody else tries to buy it, I get it ahead of them. It's only 50k missing, so I should still make about 400k profit. Okay, there you have it. The bond did buy. I still have some things I want to do in non-membership before I activate the bond, so we're going to finish up this episode. Next episode, we'll definitely be using this bond, but hey, we'll be starting membership with 400k, so this is a win. Wow, this was a long one. A lot of back and forth, but Prince Ali Rescue quest is complete. Let's get on to the next quest. Before we go out to the next quest, we need to update our inventory for it. And while we're here, pick up this bond. I'll just dump it into the bank for right now because there's not a lot that I can do with it at this particular moment in time. But this saves me a lot of grief of having to worry about buying the bond for above average price later on. Alright, first time I've ever actually done this quest. Must have been released after I stopped playing, but here's below Ice Mountain, and let's go snag the next one. Alright, that's Black Knight Fortress complete. I seem to remember it being more complicated or more convoluted than it actually was, but that's neither here nor there because it's done now. Before I head out to the next quest, I'd like to point out the White Knight names. So punny. Definitely give them all a look if you haven't seen them. A surprise mining level, trying to get the Bluerite for our Knight Sword quest. So, a brief explanation of why I mined up 3 Bluerite and why I brought so many extra materials for a Knight Sword quest. You can create a backup sword, one to use during the quest and one to keep for after the quest for cosmetic reasons. And during the quest is the only time you can do this. Just bring twice as many resources. The 3rd Bluerite is just so that you can create RuneLite limbs once you become a member for the Falador Diary. You can drop the sword that you craft here, make him craft another one, and you'll have a second sword for after the quest. So I've dropped this first one that he crafted. I'm going to go ahead and ask him to craft the second one. When I get that one, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the original one that I dropped. The first one will be used for the quest, the second one will go into my bank later on. I should also say that this is not terribly important. You don't need to do this. I just do it because I don't like to see the opportunity missed, and I like having cosmetic options. Alright, that's the Knight Sword quest complete. We got a lot of smithing experience. I had a level 1 smithing, took me all the way up to level 29. Nice. Our feathers have finished selling. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this before we head on to the Demon Slayer quest. We're going to see how much profit we actually did, or rather how much money we did save by buying the bond when we did. Right, looks like I was right on the money for 400k. So it'll go up a little bit whenever we empty out our bank later on. For now, let's go ahead and check to see how much the bond is currently selling for, because I want to see if it's fluctuated at all since I've purchased it. And yeah, it's gone up like 100k. So I'm glad I bought it when I did. 100k is not that big a deal. Even 400k is not that big of a deal. But money saved is money that I can dedicate toward membership for next episode. Right, so somehow I missed the pop-up for this quest, but Demon Slayer is complete. It shows it's completed. I got the quest point for it. I'm not sure what other rewards there were, but I mean, that sums up this quest. We've completed Corsair Curse. This is our last quest for the day. I would like to leave a note for anybody getting into this quest that I'm a level 32, the Navigator is level 35, and I'm using ranged, and he still had me eating food. So, heads up, he puts up a serious fight with his magic. I believe I've already gone over why I'm skipping over Shield of Arav and Dragon Slayer. Put it simply, the reward that you get from them and the time investment just isn't worth getting into tonight. I'll deal with them whenever I get to the subsequent quests inside of membership, but for now I'm going to go ahead and leave them be. Besides, I've got some other things I'd like to take care of tonight. Next up for the night, I'm going to go ahead and liquidate my bank. I got a lot of excess junk inside of my bank right now that is just going to take up a bunch of excess room whenever I get into membership, so I'm going to go ahead and clear it out. I'll catch up with y'all once I've finished selling the junk, and we'll see what the total gold value is out of all of this. Looks like we ended up with just over 12K in junk, so that'll help. Definitely doesn't hurt. We've held on to some of our equipment for whenever we get into membership. It's the high stuff that we can use anyway, so may as well have it on hand. No sense in buying it all over again. I've also held on to my ranged gear, which I've currently got equipped. But yeah, here's what we have left in the bank. Nice and empty with plenty of room for membership. Next up for the night is to go ahead and get this beginner clue scroll taken care of. I'm not really sure as to whether or not I can do it, but I won't know till I've tried, so here's to hoping for the best. Okay, we were able to complete all of it, which is kind of surprising. I haven't done a lot on the account, but let's pop it open, see what we get. Yeah, oh, okay. It's kind of expected. It's beginner clue scroll. Could have been better, but I'm not going to complain too much. I'm honestly just surprised I could complete it to begin with. Let's see what this is worth. Yeah, not much of anything, so there you have it. Last task for the night. Let's go ahead and get my ranged up to 40 for Dragonhide. Other than, of course, the chest. I haven't done Dragon Slayer, but let's get to it. Our first range level for the evening, and a Constitution level as well. 39 range down, 1 level to go. And that's 40 ranged. That takes care of our last goal for the evening, so let's get back to the Grand Exchange and get myself my first set of green D-hide equipment. 4K invested into the green D-hide. Our first set of D-hide on this account. We officially look like a legitimate non-member. Just in time for membership. Alright, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Our total bank value has obviously gone down since purchasing the bond, but we do now have this bond, so I'm not hurt by that. We're starting off membership pretty strong. Well, better than I was expecting to be doing, so no complaints here. Alright, getting into total levels. Changed more than I was expecting it to. I was expecting just to get the 3 for my ranged, which I did clearly end up getting. I also got 1 for hit points that I wasn't expecting to get. But most of the level change came from the Knight Sword quest that gave me 28 free smithing levels, which saves me money in the future, but no complaints for total levels. Like, it definitely went up more than I was expecting it to today, being with quest being my focus. Speaking of quests, here's my quest point growth. It's grown substantially, obviously. I've done a majority of the quests that are available to non-members, save the 2 that I've explained over and over again. There's not much left to say as far as quests. A lot of these are just prerequisites for quests I'm going to need to do as a member, so I want to go ahead and get them knocked out. Obviously, we'll be doing the Shield of Arav later on because it's a prerequisite to several quests, and Dragon Slayer is obviously a prerequisite to an amazing moneymaker, the Dragon Slayer 2 quest for Forecast. We'll get into more quests later on, but for now, obviously for non-membership, we're done. And now we're wrapping up what was the non-membership portion of this playthrough. I don't foresee me going back into non-membership, being as I can make money far easier in membership, and being as I'm constantly doing this for YouTube uploads, I shouldn't be snuck up on by an expired bond. Bonds will eat into profits, but expectedly, so it's not something that's going to catch me off guard. As far as having completed the non-membership portion of this playthrough, I'm happy with how it went. I enjoyed the process of finding ways to make money. I enjoyed even the portions that I was just goofing off and doing things that weren't necessarily profitable. But I'm also looking forward to all of the benefits of becoming a member. So starting with next episode, that's exactly where we're going. Speaking of getting into membership, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night. The sooner I get off, the sooner I can start focusing on the next episode in membership. So I'm going to leave you with the same request as always. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below letting me know